What's up, guys, and welcome to Week 1 Power Rankings of ASL Season 6. I am joined today with Milan.
Hey, hello, friends and family of the ASL. Welcome to the first ever power ranking videos of the season 6 of ASL.
And I'm, of course, Excellent Name, your host as always, and we'll jump right into it. Number 14 is kind of an NA1. That was a forfeit victory. The coach has been replaced. We don't want to talk about that too much, but what we do want to talk about is our number 13 ranking, and you have put Susie in. Why don't you explain why?
Why I have Susie here? Well, I'm gonna read it for you. I have wrote down, you faced off this week versus an unanimously the weakest team in the league. Of course, it doesn't say anything about it yet, but it's the coach. Whoa, what? Okay, I can't read apparently, but let me just, let me just freestyle a little bit. You face off versus the weakest team in the league. That's okay. But then I helped you prep this week, and you showed a pretty good team. You should have definitely been able to get a victory, but alas, you decided to throw your end game, and yeah, you took a loss versus the weakest team in the league, and that you just don't want to do that, man. So that's why I ranked you so low.
Yeah, that's definitely fair enough for sure. I ended up ranking Malone down here for fairly similar reasons to you. Not the weakest team thing, although TJ's team was ranked fairly low. Still a very solid team, and of course a very solid coach in the fact that he did in fact win last season. But he did kind of throw away a game that on paper looked matchup wise looked pretty solid in his favor. He kind of over predicted a lot with the Katana in particular, just throwing that away for pretty much no reason. And then when he pretty much had the game won with Thunderous T, in my opinion, he kind of just dicked around a bit with the Slurpuff, wishing up aimlessly for seemingly no reason, just because it was kind of stalling everything out. Felt like he could have gotten a lot more done if he took better advantage of his offensive threats with the Thunderous T, and definitely could have gotten a win there, but instead he didn't really play it out to the best of his ability, which is why I have him at the bottom. But at number 12, we both have Vish with the Wenters Weaviles, and this is one of the teams that we pretty much everyone expected to perform really well, but instead they ended up losing their game to the coach who performed the worst last season. Last season, Demaster ended up getting a 1-12 record, and he's already better than that with a 1-0 record over Vish. And Vish just played kind of like too passively around stuff like the Kieran Black. He did pull some pretty bad rest rolls with his Mega Kangaskhan, but obviously that's what you kind of expect when you decide to set up your Mega Kangaskhan turn 1 and hope that it wins from there. That wasn't really the smartest thing. He sent out his Gyarados mindlessly against the Kieran Black, which didn't make a lot of sense. He just made a lot of questionable plays that I wouldn't have really expected, and it ended up with a pretty dominative loss. What do you think? Hello?
You didn't hear me?
No, I did not.
Ah, shit, man. Well, I want to let me just roll right in. Let's give a big shout out to the biggest balls in the league. Yelmer basically just went with the stunt or die team. Like season, like I did the same thing season 2, week 1, playing with a lot of setup, crazy sets. Didn't work out. Not the best call versus the best ranked team in the league. And yeah, overall, you try to come back, and then Blake just punished your Gyarados double with with the Bolt Strike or something, and yeah, it was basically over from there. So really unfortunate for you, but I'll be sure to only see you rise in the rankings the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I certainly hope so as well. Definitely would like to see Vish perform better in his coming weeks. But at number 11, I have Susie. Ranked him a little bit better than you. He did, of course, lose to what was considered the worst draft in the league by a significant margin. Everyone else was like a B plus or better, pretty much, and Susie got Shadow got a D or something. So definitely should have been a fairly easy matchup for Susie. He definitely had a lot of ways to deal with the offensive threats, and he should have really won that game offensively. But in fairness, he did lose to a crit at the end. He shouldn't have been in a situation where he could lose to a crit, but 1 in 24 chance, it happens. So I'm not going to fault him too hard. I'm not going to say that he doesn't have any shot of doing well and pulling out a good run this season, but it does definitely hurt if you're losing to the worst draft in the game week 1. So that's why I've got him down here. But you have Malone at number 11 instead.
That definitely set him back. And yeah, I have basically the same reasons for Malone as for Susie. Pretty much the same story. You face off versus a poorly ranked team. You took control over the battle. You were very dominant the early game. Yes, you threw away your katana, which was really unfortunate, but you definitely had the solid opportunity to win. But then again, in the late game, you kind of threw your momentum away, and yeah, you're facing off versus the last season champion. TJ will grab every bone you give him to claw his way back to a victory, and he did. So you took a loss, and that was really unfortunate because actually, yeah, you had no real reason to lose week 1, and yeah, it's just unfortunate. But you definitely showed you improved a lot, and I'm going to look forward to your next games.
Cool. I agree with that for sure. But at number 10, we both have White Ferret and the Philadelphia Flygons. This is a new coach. And the reason why I personally have him ranked so low is that he lost to a team that didn't even have its EVs done. Yes, it was on paper a fairly bad matchup with AZ having a lot of great wall breakers for his more defensive team. But realistically, he should have been much more capable of dealing with those walls with the fact that he had some really solid walls for those breakers, and the fact that they didn't even have EVs, it shouldn't have been too difficult to defensively beat them. He did bring it to a 2-0 loss, which was pretty good, but he didn't really seem in control at any point in the game. Even when he had set up with his win cons, they only got a kill apiece. So yeah, he definitely didn't really seem in control of the game at any point, but he did bring it fairly close, so I did give him a bit of credit there. So why do you have him at number 10?
Well, basically, you covered the most part. What I wrote down is that he had a very tough week 1 game. You had to deal with super annoying fat core and stupid hard hitters. For a fat team like yours, that's basically your worst nightmare. You tried really hard, and you definitely had some techs. I like the Scarf tech, Sylveon, for example. But I wasn't really sure what your plan was to win this game. If it was a Celestiva, it unfortunately didn't work out for you. You overlooked the Intimidate from the Incineroar, and overall, you tried really hard, but it just wasn't enough. You also faced off versus a very strong team, so I can't fault you too much for it, but yeah, definitely step it up next week, man. You can do it.
Yep, so I've got Big Daddy Dave and the Chicago Conkelders at number 9. They lost to me this week in a 3-0 loss, but they didn't really have that much momentum at any point in the game, very similar to how White Ferret went. Not really any point in the game that they felt like they could win. Maybe with the Zygarde setting up was a potential chance, but pretty much they were always in the back, and that's just not a good look for you in your first week. You want to be able to claw some momentum back on your side, and you weren't really able to do that. Still did a good job of keeping it close, keeping it even, but yeah, you just need to look like you've got a potential win chance, which the coaches above you did have, in my opinion, which is why I decided to place you lower than them.
Yeah, and I have actually Hutch at number 9 with the Portland Timbers. And what I wrote down is it's strange to see a coach like you so low on the power rankings. But maybe it is because of your reputation, it is that you're placed over here. From the game you had versus TCP, it seemed like you struggled a lot with the matchup, obviously. And with your prep, you just came short on multiple occasions. You had some fortunate hacks going your early way, shifting momentum in your favor. Looking back at the game, this game could have ended much, much worse for you. And yeah, that's what I wrote down. And at number 8, I have the Chicago Conquerors actually. What I wrote down is you put up a great fight versus a very dominant opponent. I can't really disregard your plays, but EN seemed to be on top almost the entire game. Your prep was very strong this week. Zygarde almost took the win home for you, but the keyword in this sentence is almost. It just fell short. Overall, really great performance, but you just lacked that niche to get the victory over a coach like EN. So who do you have at number 8, EN?
I have Hutch, someone that you ranked a little bit lower, and like you said, he definitely did struggle extremely heavily with the matchup. He didn't have a lot of fantastic ways of breaking that Milotic Florges defensive core, and Mega Latios absolutely just tore through this draft 5-0 loss. I would have liked to see something like a Scarf on the Latias, or maybe not sack the Bishop, which, if I recall correctly, he said was Scarf. But yeah, it was definitely extremely difficult for him to really deal with such a big spread, especially behind screens. And the fact that he was able to bring it as close as he did behind the matchup means that I definitely have faith that he will be able to perform well the rest of the season. But he did, of course, get the loss, so can't really put him any higher than this. Better luck next week. I'm sure that you will perform well. But at number 7, we have Milan and the Jersey Justice. He received a forfeit victory this week, but he did actually play a game, and he played it very well. It got extremely close, unfortunately losing to 4-hit Water Shuriken from Greninja. So definitely a very close game, played your win cons really solidly. Very impressive play overall. I would like to see how well you do later on, but obviously not great judge based on this one game that ended up changing to a forfeit victory.
Yeah, I had a very nerve-wracking game versus Gran. In the end, it was Gran Ninja who came on top with the 4-hit Shuriken hit. Gran showcased why his team is super strong and ranked high with a multitude of threats. The Volturn was extremely annoying this game. Even though it was a clean game, it ended up with some issues, and that gave me a forfeit win. Only reason why I'm not ranked number 1 is because Volcanion didn't get any kills. Like, if Volcanion got 3 kills, I was easily number 1. But yeah, I didn't. I had no kills at all this week, and yeah, I'm number 7. So at number 6, I have the PC Barcelona, and what I wrote down is you played your offensive Pokemon pretty well, and the Pokemons were dropping like flies or left and right. Sharpedo, you went way too early for a game with that mon. It was your biggest win con, and that cost you a lot. Luckily for you, in the end, Susie gave you a small win opportunity, and with a little bit of help of RNG, you claimed an always nice week 1 victory.
Yeah, for sure. His prep was really solid this week. I really liked the Swords Dance Baton Pass Celebi tech on this team. A lot of balls to play it like he did. But I definitely got to say that the fact that he did sack it off rather than save it for later, it was definitely very questionable. There was obviously no way that you're going to deal with a Beware with just Earthquake to hit it with, not even like any kind of stab liquidation or something like that to go off of. So yeah, definitely questionable plays in a lot of situations in the game where he just sacked off win cons left and right. But he kept the Scarf Staraptor in the back, which was clearly the most important win con, claimed a fair few kills with it. Crit is obviously very unfortunate, but you know, it is Pokemon, and sometimes you do have to go off of those small chances to win. I'm not sure how confident I can say that Shadow will remain up in these high spots just because of how vulnerable his draft is to so much. But if he can stick up with this kind of momentum, then he could definitely pull some big runs off. But at number 5, we both have TJ. You can explain why.
Yeah, TJ, the champion of last season, got a victory. Did he earn it? Definitely. Capitalizing on opponents' mistakes. Did he everything go to plan? Most certainly not. TJ got thrown off early game, which was put him in a very bad spot. His biggest win con got vanished by a final gambit. But then again, making such a comeback and keeping nice differential going with it is definitely rewarded in the rankings, and that is why you deserve the number 5 spot in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He was definitely able to claw a lot back with that Suicune. No surprise there, Suicune is a fantastic Pokemon. The fact that it was able to take those hits from Thunderous T was really impressive. Um, Fantastic positioning by TJ to make sure that he was able to win that game after an incredibly questionable play of sacking off his win con to the final Gambit, the Selgor. But got to have that heart of a champion, and he definitely did have that to be able to pull off the win when he was so far in the back. But at number 4, I actually have the Hartford Whalers, who picked up a win over Hutch. Probably the hardest week 1 matchup out of everyone who won. Maybe second hardest, but very much so one of the harder ones. And yeah, he definitely played super well. The dual screens tech was a very solid bring with the Mega Latios, so it definitely got him a lot. And his defensive core was played with very solidly. It didn't really die until he didn't need it anymore. Mega Latios was able to get so many kills, which was fantastic to see. Still a bit disappointed that I'm not the one getting all those kills as Mega Latios, but it is what it is. Very well played by him. But of course, that matchup was just so dominative for him that I can't really place him too much higher. He just kind of played the matchup how he needed to secure the win.
Yeah, well, I have actually the Houston Hoopers at number 4. In my eyes, they had a pretty gifted matchup. Your team mowed over Ferret's team with good bulk to back it up. I think you played decently, but I'm surprised to see no higher differential this game looking at the matchup. I'll be sure you'll be a great threat in the upcoming weeks, though, and you'll probably rise in the rankings, but for this week, I can't rate you any higher than this. So at number 4, we act numbers. And I wrote down the best team in the league proved why it is so strong week 1. You may not have made the optimal plays all the time, but your record doesn't lie and your prep was definitely there. You fucked up with your superior, and I hope those kind of minor mistakes won't happen again, or it will definitely cost you in the future. Definitely nice to see you get that one win you got from last season already in your week 1. So you basically can't do any worse than last season. Good job, man.
Yeah, for sure. He played very well against the coach. The fact that he didn't have Contrarian Superior put him so far in the back against that Mega Kangaskhan. So the fact that he was able to still bring out such a dominative win despite that big fuck up by him is really good to see. He made some really nice big predictions. And while I will admit that Vish kind of just handed him some stuff, he handed over the Mega Kangaskhan and kind of handed over the Gyarados as well. That doesn't detract much from his play, and obviously his team build was also incredibly solid to be able to pull out such a strong win. But at number 2, I have AZ with the Houston Hoopers, and despite having what on paper may appear to be a really good matchup, honestly, it wasn't necessarily as good as it seemed. Ferret had a lot of good answers to his offensive threats, even though the big breakers should, in theory, break through. But the big thing to note is that even though he didn't have EVs on his Pokemon, he still was able to pull out that victory. And there were definitely several key moments in the game where you could see specifically where not having those EVs hurt him, and it definitely lost him a lot of differential and made the game a lot closer. So obviously it's his fuck up for not EVing his Pokemon, but the fact that he was still able to pull out that victory is definitely a good testament to his play, and I'm sure that it is a good indicator of what is to come.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you for the most part. Who have I at number 2? It's actually you. What I wrote down is EN had a very tough opponent week 1, and both played a very strong game. EN was on top of this game once again and showed strong prep. I definitely like it when EN makes a little bit more effort in his prep than he usually does. For example, the facade straight away on Altaria predicting the Will-O-Wisp was really nice. I definitely like the game overall, and you definitely covered the Zygarde really well with the ice coverage spread over your team. And yeah, you just had a very dominant performance, and Dave didn't really have any chance to come back, and that's why you rank so high.
Yeah, I rank myself number 1 actually because I have a lot of confidence in myself. But I feel like Dave is one of the.
No, that's not surprising, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Dave is, in my opinion, one of the strongest coaches here. He's a new coach. Not everyone here knows him very well, but if you do know him, then you know that he's a big threat in a lot of the larger leagues, such as, I believe, the Hive and other leagues in that kind of community. So he's definitely a huge threat, and I feel like the fact that I was able to make it look so clean definitely does give me a lot of benefit. Obviously, very close. Is incredibly difficult to rank any of the coaches that won in such like a low set of data. We only have one game to go off of, so it's difficult to really say. But I do think that I played it incredibly well, prepped it very well. So I do think that I do deserve a top spot. So why not give myself the toppest spot with number 1?
Yeah, why not? Like, you're in charge of your own rankings.
That's actually why I joined the power ranking team, to give myself the number 1 spot. But you can go on now.
But okay, I have the Crispy Panda at number 1. And why? Because Crispy Panda just did it again. After defeating Hutch in the championship, season 3 or 4, he just did it again in week 1. And not any disregards to Hutch, but Hutch is a fantastic coach, very dominant, almost always in the finals or at least playoffs. And TCP just did him dirty, man. He just did him dirty. He got really unfortunate hacks going early game, but otherwise he would have made potentially even 6-0. Like, he had such a strong game, and the fat Hutch wasn't really able to break through. And yeah, I'm really happy to see this team doing so well, because I like his team a lot, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next game of TCP. Well, I think that wraps it up. Did you like it? Please let us know. Also, follow us on Twitter, leave a like at the video, and Ian, you have to add something?
No, I don't think there is anything else to add. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel as well to keep up with us and all the other fantastic YouTube content. But I do believe that wraps it up. So see you guys next time.
Yeah, goodbye.